I was taking acid, I'd think, if he's doing 2 acid tabs, I've got to do 3.
I know some people that even
Heroin's
go
the
to
cheapest drug in
prison to make money. They get
Heroin
themselves
is
nicked on petty crimes.
I'm out of this block of flats where I'm buying heroin in Hastings, got down to the bottom.
In this video, Tony talks about his life struggles growing up. It contains drug abuse and sexual assault. So if these subjects are a little bit too strong to you, you don't have to listen. You're more than welcome to click off in the video right now. However, if you enjoy this sort of content and you've got an interesting background, get in touch with me. My Instagram's below. But yeah, enough of that. I'm going to shut up now and let you enjoy the video. Yes, Tone. So today we got Tony on. First of all, as no one knows you, please introduce yourself.
All right, yeah, my name's Tony. Don't really know what to say. I'm 56 years old. I work in the construction
Looking
industry.
well for 56, I must say.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't feel it. I feel every day of it. Yeah, and that's it. And I've had a bit of an interesting life, but we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. So talk to me about your upbringing, since we're gonna rewind it straight to the start. As a child,
My upbringing.
what was your environment around
For
you?
my first sort of, I don't know, I suppose sort of 8 years, it's different because I was born in 1968, so I was raised in the 70s, really. And see, for me, I think I had a traditional upbringing, but by today's standards, I was abused every day.
Right. Okay.
By my dad, only because back then you could discipline your children.
Yeah. It was normal.
Yeah,
a certain way of disciplining.
And it was normal back then. Like I'd get the belt, I'd get like a fishing rod, or, whipped across my back and, on my arse and my legs, or bamboo canes, anything like that, anything really he could get his hands on. But back then it seemed like
It was the normal sort of thing. Yeah.
Everyone's parents were, you'd rather get a bollocking off the police than your mum and dad sort of thing. Really, it was sort of like that. So that was my upbringing. But like my dad, who I later found out was my stepdad, he was a really heavy drinker, and then he was also a violent drunk.
Right.
Never a good
which
match.
didn't help matters. Like I say, I was pretty much beaten not beaten, I mean that's a bit much, but I was hit every day because I was a discipline problem as a child.
Put it this way, you was raised in a house full of chaos, sort of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. But he'd hit my mum and things like that, But yeah, again, that just seemed normal. I didn't know any different.
Yeah.
But even the fact that it felt normal, did you sit there and
it felt wrong?
Yeah, it felt wrong.
Absolutely felt wrong. Yeah, of course it did.
Your moral
I'd try and get
compass
in the way. If he's
right.
shouting and screaming at my mum, I'd get in the way, but then I'd get
clapped yourself. Yeah.
Exactly that, and then so that became that. And because I've got 2 sisters and a brother, so there's 4 of us. My brother, I've got my sort of the way we was born, like my sister first, then my brother, then me, and then my younger sister.
Yeah.
But my brother, who's older than me, I think he was born with a collapsed lung, and then he had bronchitis in the lung that did work, and he was like in hospital, and he was quite a sickly child, really. Yeah. So when I came along, I was like the stronger child. Do you know what I mean? So I always felt like I was the one. Like if he was having shit at school, I'd have to confront his bullies
and step up for it, sort of thing.
Exactly,
yeah,
same sort of thing. So when shit was happening to my mum, I knew my brother can't do it, so I'd have to, be the one to jump in, and then I'd be the one to get the shit because of it. And because of all that sort of stuff, all the violence and all that, I normalised it. So if things didn't go my way at school, I'd become violent with my classmates.
Do you think the chaos at home sort of came to school with you?
Of course it did, how could it not?
And you was playing up because of
everything
that's going on at home.
People reacted. I just thought that's what people do.
Yeah.
My dad, he's grown up. He's even at that age, like my dad was like a big man, like he was like hairy, like he had beard, like he was like a bear, like he was a big man. He was an impressive man, really, to me as a young kid, and he was strong as anything. Like I'd seen it, like he was a good fighter. Like I've seen him fight at the football and shit like that. He was an impressive man. Do you know what I mean? So even though I'd be getting beats off of him and shit, he was still a little bit of a hero sort of thing. I just think that's what I thought a man was.
Father, son, innit?
Yeah, that's what I thought a man was. You know, so
would you talk to friends and like, or friends in the area, or you know, people in the vicinity that also went through the same thing? Is that one of the reasons that you potentially normalised it?
Probably, yeah.
Because it was like, yeah, my dad does that.
Yeah,
as well.
I know, like close friends, people I'm still close with now.
Yeah.
You know, they grew up the same. Their dad was the same. In fact, our parents were friends.
Yeah.
You know, so again, everyone around us on my estate. I grew up on a little estate.
Yeah.
Everyone around us was raised the same, it seemed. But who knows exactly what goes on? You just assume.
Course,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Behind closed doors,
you know, like when your mate's in trouble, he's oh fuck, you know, I'm gonna get a good hiding. And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean?
So
All
everyone
that.
kind of
So,
gets the same pinch.
yeah, we all get that. You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's why it was normalised. And like I say, and then at school, if things didn't go my way, I'd react in the same way because I thought that's how a man reacted.
You weren't given the
Do you know
tools.
what I mean?
What's
No,
that?
weren't
You turn
given
to
the
violence
tools.
every
I
single
would,
time.
absolutely,
Weren't
yeah.
given the tools.
Yeah,
initially.
I'd really struggled with violence and temper
Yeah.
and things like that.
That'd be pretty natural.
You
though,
know, through all of my life, really, until I found NA,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Well, not NA as such, but until I found the 12 steps, I think I pretty much... But I was searching for a long time before that.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried yoga and tried transcendental meditation. I've tried all sorts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, breathing techniques and... Do you know what I mean? I've tried it all off my own back as well, you know, well, just because I know the way I was wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think people should...
What is it though? What is it that you felt like? Because you weren't given the tools necessarily to
No, of
deal
course
with all
not.
of these emotions, but then what is it that gave you that urge to just keep finding all of these, trying to find a solution? What was it?
Because I just didn't...
Something ain't right here.
I think...
Yeah.
I just knew that... I think as you get older, you see other people, you know, and I was always a reasonably intelligent person, I'd like to think anyway. So, you know, I could see people and just think, why ain't I like that? Why ain't my family like that family? You know, like when you go to your friends' houses for dinner when you're a kid,
Yeah.
and everything's nice and clean and everyone's nice to each other. And you just think, wow, man, fucking hell, this is what it should be like.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So I tried to spend as much time out of my house as I could. Do you know what I mean? I'd be out all
It's
day.
usually one of the big indicators, isn't it?
Yeah,
You know,
from the moment I'd wake up, I'd be out, and then when the street lights come on, sort of thing, you know, oh, fucking hell, I've got to go home now. Do you know what I mean? And this and that. And I ran away frequently as a child because I just wasn't happy at home.
Yeah.
When we say a child, what age are we kind of talking running away from home?
7, 8.
So
early.
super young.
Yeah,
Super
early.
young. Wow.
Yeah. It was while I was still in, I don't know what it's called now, junior school.
Yeah,
I think it's called
primary
school,
Primary
yeah.
school, most parts of the country.
So it was when I was at primary school and I got expelled there at 9. So
Before you even got into secondary school.
yeah.
Did you get a chance to go secondary school or no?
Yeah, I went to secondary school for a year and a half.
Year and a half.
From 12 until 14.
So no education onwards from
Only
the age of 14.
educating myself.
Right.
really.
Okay. Yeah.
But you got to remember, for that time, that wasn't so uncommon that someone would leave school necessarily at 14.
Yeah.
go
No.
work.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. When
No?
I'm only talking the 80s. I'm not talking the 50s.
No,
You know
I
what
know,
I
but
mean?
wouldn't you get like? I don't know.
No, not really. You couldn't back then. No, you still
you
had
still
to
had to
leave at
stay in
16. You had
education
to
at
stay and
16.
do your.
But then you get a lot of people that would go and like,
Only if you had
No.
only if you wasn't taking any exams, you could leave before your exams or
Yeah.
while the exams were being
yeah,
taken.
yeah.
You'd still have to
Similar to us, we did
be,
study
you still
leave
have to
and
be
stuff.
like 16, I think.
Okay. But what I felt, I don't know, from people I've spoken to before, it didn't sound like it was as
Older people,
uncommon that
Um,
people that 70s, 80s would leave school at 14 and just start on the bricks or on the tools or whatever, you know.
you could sort of do it as long as.
Yeah. Whereas now
know
it's a
what I
lot harder.
Yeah, I mean, even
sure.
back then, you still had like truant officers and people hammering on your door, and
Yeah,
you'd have to
yeah,
go
yeah.
to court. Like
Yeah,
my
yeah.
mum and dad had to go to court
Yeah.
numerous times about me not attending school.
Yeah.
Numerous times. Do you know what I mean? And they were threatened with fines.
They've always been pretty strict on it. Though.
Yeah. So it was still a thing back then. I think, like after the war and that, people could leave at 14 and just walk straight into work.
Of course,
But yeah, sort of my era was sort of when it was changing. I think.
Okay.
because they come up with a thing called the YTS scheme, which was like the youth training scheme. So if you left school and you didn't have much going for you, you could do this YTS thing, which was like a little training. It would teach you how to do a bit of painting and decorating, and it would pay you, I think, about 30 quid a week.
Yeah.
Back then was
A lot of money.
Well,
sort
no,
of thing.
not a lot, but
But
At
decent
college, I
amount,
used to
yeah.
get the same. It was called EMA by then.
yeah, that sort of
You'd
thing.
get,
Yeah,
if you did your
Yeah,
whole
it's
week
just
at
like a little
college and they
subsistence
signed
thing,
you off,
yeah.
you get 30 quid. Listen, my mum and dad
Yeah.
broke up. That 30 quid was invaluable, and we had
Yeah.
a free Oyster card. So you
Yeah,
could get
yeah,
buses
yeah. So
everywhere.
it was that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
yeah.
were
So
just
it
all
was-
that sort of stuff was
yeah,
just
yeah.
starting when
They only got rid of that, like, I don't know, 2000 and kind of like 9, 10, 11
Yeah.
onwards that they started getting rid of all that
yeah,
stuff.
right.
Do you think all the trouble that going on in school, do you think when you're coming home and obviously maybe the school teachers are phoning family, do you think that had also another negative impact at home? Maybe your dad was starting to,
Probably, but I think.
or was
I
it
don't know. I don't
more
think-
outcomes than that? More
Yeah, I don't know
circumstances?
so much. Because to be fair, we didn't. I don't even think we had a phone back then. Do you know what I mean?
Way before my time then. Yeah.
I mean, there was phones, obviously,
yeah,
but
yeah.
House phones.
I don't think we could afford one back then.
Right, okay, yeah.
Despite the fact my old man was a bricklayer, earning probably decent money. Do you know what I mean? My mum had a few jobs, but it was, I suppose it all went on alcohol, and my mum, I think, was a bit addicted to bingo and shit like that. Back then. Who knows? I
There's
don't
worse
know.
things to go and get
Yeah,
a bit of an escape
exactly.
from, though, isn't there?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, so back then you'd be given a letter and
Mm.
told to take that home. So obviously I'd fucking open it, read it, and just think, nah,
No,
that's not going
no,
home with me. That's going in the drain somewhere. You know what I mean? And then I'd just leave it until eventually the police would be involved, or the truant officer, or whoever.
Yeah.
You know, because I just, once I get them letters, I just think, that's it, I ain't going back then.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wouldn't go back.
Did you
Go-
never think like school was a safer spot for you in terms of like somewhere where you could actually go and get a bit of, I don't know, a bit of norm?
I don't know. I
Normality
wish
or-
I had.
Yeah.
I wish I had. But see, the thing is, going back to when I was at school, when I was, like I say, when I was 8, I was getting into a lot of trouble
Yeah.
at school, really, really disruptive, and I had to see a child psychologist, and I had to go and do all these tests. I had to do like jigsaw puzzles and all this other sort of stuff, and they decided I was sort of too advanced, that I could pick things up quickly, and then I'm getting bored, so then I'm being disruptive in the class. So they thought, right, in their wisdom, they'll put me up a year. So I went a year.
Ahead,
I was
yeah, yeah.
advanced.
Yeah, so you
a year.
advanced the year, yeah. You went up
Um,
a year, yeah.
I hated it. I didn't find the work challenging or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I hated not being around my friends.
What age is this again? Sorry.
8.
8. So it's all kind of that similar
Yeah.
kind of age, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't really know anyone in that year. Do you know what I mean? It just seemed weird.
Yeah.
So again, I just thought, fuck it, I ain't doing this.
Did you end up getting kicked out of school in the end?
Yeah, at 9.
At
At
9.
9, I was expelled from school.
So 9, but you were in with 10-year-olds.
But I think I had like weird, because of my dad and the violence and all that sort of stuff. Like I say, things didn't go well for me, and I'd just become violent, and even to the point where I'd hit a teacher,
Yeah.
things like that. And I'm ashamed to say, back then, my granddad was alive then, and the school I was at, the primary school, he was one of the governors, but he was on the board of governors.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I got expelled from that school. Do you know what I mean?
Let him
Yeah,
down a bit, I
really.
suppose, on that front.
And
Wasn't your fault, though. You've got to understand that, though. So
no,
there's, you know, like, looking at it from now, you would surely understand that that weren't my fault kind of thing.
no, of course not. But even so, you know, I still think myself, I was intelligent. Not, you know, I was still only a kid, a 9-year-old kid. But I think, why can't I work things out for myself? It's like if you ask me for advice, or anyone asks me for advice, it's like anyone, you give amazing advice, but can you follow it yourself?
Yeah,
You
it's
just
difficult.
can't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's the same with the drugs later on in my life. I just thought, and people used to say to me all the time, like, you're one of the most intelligent people I know. Why are you wasting all of that? And I used to think, fuck off, I know what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean?
When did you first turn to drugs?
That's a bit weird, because for me, drugs is not just drugs. It's it's everything. So for me, I was probably about 8 when I started having a lot of trouble at school. I started experimenting with solvents, which initially was this stuff. I don't even know if it's still on the market. It was called Thorpit, and it was for removing plasters. You know, like them, you know, like an elastoplaster, plaster, like one of them fabric ones.
Yeah.
You used to put this stuff on it, and it dissolves the sticky stuff, so it just peels off.
Oh, okay.
That's
So it
what
doesn't
was-
come off with any sort of tackiness.
Yeah, so it don't rip hairs off.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's for bandages, like putting on stuff
I'm
like
with you,
that.
I'm with you, yeah.
And what we used to do, we'd get a hanky, or you know, like the cuff of your top, and pour some on that and breathe it.
Right, okay, yeah.
And then so that was my first experiment with anything like that, and I was probably, I would say, about 8.
Right.
And we used to.
And it just went on from there, sort of thing.
But you could do like Tipp-tox.
Yeah.
Tipp-tox, so they had to start changing all of the
Tipp-tox
ingredients
thinners and
for
things
Tipp-tox
like
and
all
stuff,
that sort of stuff. Yeah, and then obviously the glue sniffing. I did that. I did that for a couple of years, probably from 9 to probably about 12 or 13. I probably did that off and on, not all the time, because I went into care at 9.
Right.
That was basically for truancy and that sort of thing. But I was put in voluntary care. My parents actually just took me to the social services and just said, we can't.
How comes, may I ask?
Because I was expelled from school.
Right.
And they didn't.
Too troublesome.
They didn't know what to do with me. They both worked.
Right, okay.
So what?
And they didn't realise at this point that they're the problem.
Well, who did back then? Who did back then? Do you know what I mean? So they just took me to the social services and just said, look, we can't cope. We can't cope with him.
Yeah.
Because I was just murder. I was a little bastard, really, for want of a better word. But looking back, obviously I have reasons for it. But back then, I was just trouble.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was one of them kids where your mum and dad would say, I don't want you playing with him.
Yeah.
I was one of them kids. Do you know what I mean? I was a kid to avoid. You know.
So obviously you've just mentioned a few drugs there that is like Tipp-tox and glue sniffing. Did it ever progress onto anything worse from then?
It progressed as far as it can progress, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, okay.
But sort of 12 years old, I sort of got introduced to cannabis, which was different then. It was cannabis resin.
Right, okay.
Which probably now, by today's standards, is probably really weak. But back then it
like
seemed...
puff.
Yeah.
Like puff, like...
Yeah, but back then it seemed...
That's what they used to call it back in the day.
Yeah, it was puff.
From that old area, you know.
Yeah,
like
so
your generation
started on that, and then obviously, like, you know, smoking bowl mixes and all that sort of stuff. But alongside that, drinking alcohol, because, again, that's what my parents did. And, like, even my old man, he used to smoke a bit of puff, like my uncles did, that sort of stuff. So, it's what grown-ups do, isn't it? It's like, I remember...
Monkey see, monkey do kind of thing.
Yeah, but I remember even as a kid, like, as a young kid, I remember watching a film, like, sort of Christmas time, you know, like it'd be like The Wizard of Oz or something like that. And I remember laying on the settee, my mum was there, my dad was there, and they're like smoking. And I've got, you know, like a felt tip lid.
Yeah.
I've got one of them pretending to smoke. Like, I'm about 6 probably.
Yeah, but you're picking up these things and you're soaking it in like from a young age.
Do you know, that's one of my earliest memories, is doing that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I remember chocolate cigarettes.
Yeah, I remember
like
the chocolate cigarettes.
Because, like, obviously, everyone smoked. There was no restrictions on where you could
Do you remember
smoke.
being able to buy the hand-rolling tobacco, the sweet hand-rolling tobacco?
Nah.
It was like
I don't
sugar
remember.
string stuff, brown sugar
Nah,
string.
don't-
But it came
I
in like a
remember
little
getting the
half-ounce.
cigarettes. There was like a few different ways that you could get.
Yeah,
They
that
used
was
to look
mad.
like roll-ups.
Yeah,
They had
exactly,
chocolate in them. Yeah. My dad used to smoke roll-ups, so it's like...
Yeah,
again, one of those
exactly.
things.
But that's what I mean. So, yeah, all my drug taking sort of early drug taking came alongside alcohol use.
Right.
Not so much abuse, probably use. But I realise now I had a really addictive personality. So whatever I took or whatever I tried, I had to do to extremes.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like
Go big or go home.
Yeah. So if I was taking acid, I'd think if he's doing 2 acid tabs, I've got to do 3. Do you know what
Always
I mean?
one up in
Yeah,
someone.
yeah.
Acid is like one of those ones that not many people know about. What in terms of acid?
Well, it's
What's
a really,
the kind of what what's the effects of?
It's really, really psychoactive. So it changes your perspectives. Like you see bollocks about people seeing things. You know what I mean? Creatures and pink elephants. And that's all bollocks. As far as I'm concerned, you don't see none of that. But it alters everything where things move.
Because there's a lot of
that curtain behind you would be below, it could be billowing.
At you, sort of
you know what I mean?
There's a lot of
The floor would be all
hallucinogenics that
wavy.
people are starting to talk about. All of this kind of seeing this and seeing that. Have you done any of that stuff?
No, I've only ever done just acid and mushrooms, magic mushrooms, which
That's
I
obviously
found a lot,
hallucinogenic.
which I found a lot cleaner
Okay. Than acid.
than acid. Yeah,
Okay.
less chemically.
Would you say acid's probably the worst drug you've taken, or no?
No, heroin.
Heroin,
is by
yeah.
far the worst I've taken.
What age was you on that?
I actually started taking it at 15. I remember the very day I started taking it.
15.
I got out.
You'll never forget that day, though, really.
No, not at all. But
what made you take that? Sorry, go on.
I got out of detention centre.
Yeah.
I went to DC when I was 15. Obviously, did 3 months there. Got out, and I was literally walking through my local area, Sidley, and this lady's come up to me. She's like my friend's mother. She's come up. She said, "Oh, hello. Everyone's waiting around mine to see you." I said, "Everyone." She went, "Yeah. Your brother's there, and like her son and everything." So I've gone round there, and knocked on the door, gone in, and there's my own brother was there, 3 or 4 friends, and then this fella whose house it's his mum's house, and a couple of girls, and as I've turned up, they were going, "Hello, it's nice to see you back," and blah blah blah, this and that, and then the fellow whose house it was, he said, "Right, I'm going over to Hastings to get some gear." So I said, yeah, I'll have some of that. I've got my discharge card in my pocket. And he went, no, not, because back then gear for me was a bit of puff. People used to call that gear. Gear, and it's like, and he went, no, not that. I'm getting brown. And I said, like, what does that mean? What does that mean? He said, he actually said, it's heroin. And I went, you're fucking kidding me. And I looked at these people I know, people like childhood friends and everything, like girls, my own brother, and I said, well, you lot are taking this? And they've gone, yeah, it's fucking brilliant, look. And they're showing me like marks on their arms.
No way.
Wow.
I
And this is 15, yeah?
I'm 15,
You're
yeah.
just getting
You're
introduced
15.
in.
I'm
Wow.
15, yeah. These people are slightly older, around my age, but not.
Couple of years older.
Yeah,
max,
that sort of thing. And I went, well, what's it like? And they went, oh, like, imagine smoking a quarter of puff to yourself. So I just thought, yeah, I'll have some of that then.
Yeah.
So I said to this fellow, yeah, then, and I'll give him a 10. I said, yeah, I'll have a 10 as well. And he's like, you sure? And I went, yeah, go on then. So he's gone off, come back, and then, he's just cooked it up, put it in a spoon, give me half to start with. And that's it. I'd done all that, got my brains up. He's done it. Almost instantly, I was sick. But then after I was sick, it felt amazing. Absolutely felt amazing. It was like, imagine all noise, like loads and loads of noise going off, and then just suddenly
Nothing.
headphones.
Yeah.
It was like that. Like I just thought, oh wow.
What did you
Loved
feel
this.
like there was any sort of like? Did you that chemical reaction? Did you feel that is that what you're talking about? That chemical reaction? That
I don't know how to explain it. Honestly, it was shockingly good. Really, I hate to say that.
yeah, no,
Really,
because obviously
I
it's
really
quite
hate
well
to say it,
documented,
and I
isn't
hate
it?
that it is
And there's a
like
reason
that.
why people do get addicted to
But
it. because of that.
you hear people saying it's like a cuddle in a duvet.
Yeah,
And it is exactly that. It's like, because obviously people don't take it if their lives are going well. I think most of us take it because our lives are shit and we can't deal with what's going on, so we take it. And just as soon as you take it, everything's all right.
yeah.
You're warm, you're snug. Do
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
It's so hard to explain without.
I've spoken to a lot of
I
homeless people
don't know
over the years.
how to articulate.
Yeah.
Really, like I say, I'm reasonably intelligent. But I don't know if I'm not a poet. If I was, I would.
Well,
I would write a love song to it, really, because it's
there's a couple of portrayals, isn't there?
exactly
Golden Brown.
Golden Brown,
That
exactly.
for me
Comfortably Numb.
Is it? Yeah, I've never heard that.
Pink Floyd, Comfortably Numb.
Oh, I'll have a listen.
Yeah,
to that.
listen.
There's always one film, like it's a good film, Rock and Roller. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
ever
I've
watched
seen it, of
it.
course I
And
have.
obviously he goes through.
Have you seen the Basketball Diaries?
Nah,
Watch that.
Basketball Diaries. Yeah.
It's Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Wahlberg
Okay.
when they're about 17.
Young. This is when they're young then.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a true story.
Yeah.
True story about this lad who gets involved
Basketball Diaries. Yeah.
in. Yeah, and he was like a high school basketball player. And
What is this,
blah,
one of
blah.
those 80s films?
Yeah.
No, I love
But-
all of them, to
I
be
think I've
honest.
seen a
But
little
to be
snippet
honest,
of
I'm
it.
not going
But
to lie
the
to you.
book
All of those
is
films,
amazing.
all of those.
I
Yes,
read the
everyone
book
always
first.
says that.
Yeah,
Everyone always
I
says
read
that.
the book
I'm not a
first.
book
But
reader.
to be fair, Leonardo DiCaprio, even at that age, was an amazing
Wicked actor. Well,
Yeah.
think of like he done some wicked films.
So
like,
Catch
as a
Me If You
youngster.
Can, all
Yeah.
of that.
No, even
Maybe
younger
before
than
that, yeah.
Even younger
Yeah,
than that.
that's
What
what
was
I'm
the
saying.
beach?
So
The
it
beach.
Beach is
Yeah,
great.
that's one of
the
like
book
his-
as well. Is a great
yeah,
book.
again,
Alex Garland.
I've never
Great
watched.
book.
Everyone
Yeah.
always says that. You know, like any films that I always
Yeah.
love, they're like the books. better
I've
than.
read.
I just
obviously-
can't. Yeah, you've had time
Yeah,
to
I've
read
read a
them.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've read a lot. So anyway, yeah, getting back to what we were talking about.
Yeah.
heroin.
So
So I had that, and then a bit later on, I had the other £5 worth.
yeah.
And again, it was just brilliant. But literally from that day, for about 6 months, I took it every day.
Wow.
I had a little
At
bit.
15, wow.
Yeah, I had a little bit of money. I pretty much stayed at that fella's house
Yeah.
every day. We'd just get up.
Why did you stay at the house? Did you get kicked out or?
No. I just pretty much stayed there then.
Oh, right,
Do you know,
okay.
I
No,
just I
that whole like.
didn't have nowhere to go then.
So that whole
anyway, it
like
didn't matter.
crack den kind of experience was that kind of you know
No,
what
it was
people-
at his mother's house. It was like a nice house.
but it became that. No.
Well, no, not really,
No.
not back then. Do you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
weird because it was sort of all slightly undercover. Like certain people knew, but
Yeah.
it was sort of new back then.
Okay.
People didn't know about. Like I said, when I first took it, it was an injection. I didn't know you could take
Yeah.
it any other way.
Yeah.
The only way I'd ever seen it taken on films or whatever
yeah,
was
it's-
injecting.
yeah, of
So I
course.
didn't know you could smoke it. I didn't know you could snort it. I didn't know you could do anything with it
Yeah.
other than inject it. So that was probably a bad introduction as well, taking it like that straight away.
Yeah,
And that's because it's the
100%.
heaviest form, right?
Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Straight
And then
into your
anything I'll
bloodstream.
take, if I try and take it any other way,
Just felt weak.
what's the
doing it.
point?
Weren't the
Yeah,
same.
what's the point? That's like going from, drinking brandy to drinking water and thinking it's going to do the same thing.
So the question
It
I've
doesn't.
got is obviously that you're here, like I said, you look well. Are a lot of the people that were doing this with you that grew up around that time, are they?
No, most of them are dead. In fact, I've been to a funeral quite recently of one of my really good friends who died. He just couldn't get
Sorry
away
to
from
hear
it.
that.
He just couldn't get away from it. I'm nearly 2008 I stopped. So, I'm a long time.
Good 16 years, man.
Yeah, I'm a long time clean now.
Congratulations,
You know what
by
I
the
mean?
way. Good
So,
on you, man.
Thank you very much.
No, that's
But-
like, as in that's
That's amazing,
inspirational
honestly.
stuff.
Yeah.
Very amazing.
So
some people
it's
can't
hard.
do
It's
that.
hard for me
And I wanted
to
to
get out
ask-
and see people
Yeah.
I knew from back then still.
So I wanted to ask that question just because the ramifications of this stuff, obviously, you're fully aware, and you're
course.
here to obviously, try to inspire people not to do it. I imagine,
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to just get that as a point. Is, it's quite a big point, isn't it? That you're here,
Yeah, of
but a lot
course.
of people that you grew up
Most
around.
people really
most.
who were involved in that stuff
Yeah.
are not about. Even my own brother now, he's in. No, it's all right. No, forget that.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
No worries,
it's
no
all right.
worries,
it's
no
all right.
worries. So, off cameras, you mentioned you got kicked out and
You want
you
to know about me, Step?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, I know.
I want to have this convo on here because you said you'd happily
Yeah.
have it, and
Yeah,
it
of
was
course.
amazing. It was
Yeah.
you caught me like that when you mentioned it.
Right,
So
okay. So basically, when I was saying about earlier when I was in care and that, when I was 12, the place I was in, Walsh Manor in Crowborough, it came under investigation for abuse.
Mm-hmm.
All the local newspapers were there, and local television company. I can't remember what it's called, the TV company, but it was Day by Day. Like the local Meridian, it's called now down where I am. It's probably called Southern back then. But yeah, Day by Day news come there and all that, and there was all abuse happening there. I wasn't involved in any of it. I didn't even know any of it was going on because it was split sort of into houses. As far as I'm aware, nothing was happening on our house. maybe a bit of physical abuse, like, but again, who would notice?
It's normal.
Yeah, who would notice back then, because we was all came from households where that sort of stuff
Someone clapped with
happened
a shoe
anyway.
or
But
something.
apparently
like
there
that,
was worse going on with younger kids on other parts of the place, and it got closed down. So initially I was meant to be in care till I was 18, but then all of a sudden at 12, 3 years into my care order, they take me back to court and scrapped it. Just said, nah, it's all right now, you can go back home. Really, I don't know why. There's no rhyme or reason for it.
Maybe
What,
someone
your
else
parents-
needed to go in there and it was full or
usually
something.
if that was the case, sure,
They
did
must
your
have done.
parents
Yeah, I
turn
don't know.
themselves around a little bit and get themselves in a better
It
position?
wasn't about
or-
them. It was about me. That's what I'm
Because it was
saying.
voluntary, wasn't it?
They put me in care because
Oh, of course.
I was uncontrollable. It was nothing to do with them being what they were or anything like
Yeah,
that.
they weren't aware of that at that point.
That's
yeah.
what I mean. So, yeah. So at the end,
Yeah,
they just
yeah,
went,
sorry,
"Yeah, okay,
I
it's all
heard- yeah,
cancelled.
yeah.
You can go home." So I went home. I think when I went home, my mum, well, my dad was in prison. I can't remember exactly what for. Nothing serious. He became a fisherman for a while, and then he got nicked for falsifying catch records because there was something going on with Spain over fishing rights for parts of the channel, and I don't know. So he ended up going to prison for that for a bit. It might have been for that. I'm not sure. But my mum started seeing his brother,
Right, okay.
My
So your
uncle.
uncle, yeah.
my uncle.
Yeah.
Yep. And then when my dad got out of prison, he found out about it, and then they split up. Eventually got divorced. And my mum moved in with my uncle, my now new stepdad. Married him, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, and she stayed with him until she died. But I found out in the meantime, like when they split up, I wanted to go and live with my dad. And then I was told, he's actually not your dad. That's when I found out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I found out at 13 that all of a sudden your dad, like I said earlier, was a bit of a hero, looked up to. All right, he was a bit of a prick,
Yeah.
bit of a bully, but
Yeah. Normal for those kind of
But
times,
I
as
liked
you said. Yeah.
Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
You know,
Take the lick,
he
but I
was-
do still
yeah, he's
like
my
you,
dad.
yeah.
Like I said, he was an impressive man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found out he wasn't my dad, so I wasn't allowed to live with him. So I had to go and live with my mum. Now, like I said, there was 4 of us kids. I think my youngest sister stayed with my dad because he was actually her real father.
Okay.
So like me, my brother and my older sister weren't actually his. So we've had to go with my mum. My new stepdad, my uncle, I'll say my uncle, right, just for, you know,
Yeah,
clarification.
to clear it up for anyone
Yeah.
listening or watching.
Yeah, so my uncle, he had 6 kids. So now there's like 9 of us squeezed into this little house. So we all got to share bedrooms and all this and that. And there was 4 boys in one room. Me, my brother, and then my 2 new stepbrothers. My brother and one of my stepbrothers were the same age, and then the other one was slightly older than me, like a year older than me, something like that, and me. So we've been given bunk beds, and instead of, weirdly as well, both these, I don't know whether I should say this, really, because, fuck it, yeah. both of me,
Whatever you feel
both of
comfortable
me
with,
brother
obviously.
cousins, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
they wet the bed. Both of them, right?
They don't wet the bed anymore, do they?
I don't know.
Hopefully, I hope for
Well,
them they don't wet the bed.
I wouldn't have thought so, but
Sorry.
me and my brother never. No one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
As far as I know, I never did.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, my brother never did.
Yeah.
But they put us in bunk beds with these people who do. And instead,
I hope they weren't top bunking.
so instead of giving me and my brother
Yeah, sorry.
the same bunk beds, I've had to share with this.
Wet the bed merchant.
He's in the top bunk. Exactly. Your worst night. The thing you were just saying has exactly happened.
Yeah.
I woke up one night. It's raining.
It's raining, he said, it's raining.
Yeah, and I just thought, what the? Do you know what I mean? I'm only
Is there a
young.
leak?
Yeah, so I've jumped out of bed, and like I say, he's in the top bunk, so I grabbed hold of him, I pulled him off the bed, and he's like, there was something on the floor, I can't remember what it was, but he's landed on it, hurt his back, right? Not badly, not as bad as I wanted to hurt him anyway. So I've jumped on him, and I've clumped him a few times, and then he's screaming and shouting, and then My uncle's come flying in. He's pulled me off him and threw me up against the wall, threatening to hit me. My mum's had to come in and get between us two. Then I'm not allowed to live with them anymore. He doesn't want me in his house anymore. Fair enough. Like I said, I struggled with violence back then anyway.
Put a nappy
Short
on his
temper
tend
on
to
sort
put a
of
nappy
thing.
on
Yeah,
his
exactly. I
Short
struggled with
temper,
my
yeah.
temper and violence anyway, so it wasn't a great surprise. And I just thought, who the fuck are you anyway, trying to hit me? It's like, it's your kid. Like, you fucking deal with him. He's the problem as far as I'm concerned.
Put a nappy on him, innit?
But as far as I'm
Get the
concerned, he's
Pampers
the
out.
problem, not me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But that's the way it is. So I had to go and live with my dad.
Which you wanted to do anyway.
My first stepdad.
Yeah.
In the meantime, he's got himself a girlfriend. Buxom. It's really nice. You know, really nice body. Voluptuous, I would call it.
You got on well with her?
Got on very well with her.
Okay.
One day, right, me and my pal, I had like one of the first BMXs in the town. I nicked it from Eastbourne Leisure Pool. Right, I just went over there one day and it was chained up outside. I thought, I'm having that.
Yeah.
I'd only ever seen one on ET, so I thought, I'm having that. That looks the bollocks. So I did. I nicked it and took it home, sprayed it, and that was my new bike.
Yeah.
And one day, I was going for a bike ride, me and my pal, up at the Highwoods. You know the Highwoods.
Yeah, I do, yeah,
We used to go up there, and there's a few sort of jumps and stuff like that up there. And she said, I'm 13. My mate's 13. She's like 23. She said, oh, can I come? And I thought, that's a bit random, but yeah, go on then. She had, like one of them fold-up bikes that come in like...
You're 13, how old is she at this point?
23.
23, yeah.
Yeah, so, I just thought, come on in. So we've gone for this bike ride. He ain't really got up to much. And then coming back down, just down the road from the Highwoods, there's like this little, like a little bus stop thing. I don't know if it's still there. It might be still there. But we pulled up in there, and I just said, hang on, I've got to have a piss. So I've gone round the back. I'm just having a piss. Just got my Corey out. Just pissing. She's walked round, and I've gone, oh, we are. You know what I mean? Pissed all down.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry, I
panicking.
didn't want you to
13.
see me.
I'm 13. Do you know what I mean? She's a woman, like.
It's
I'm
embarrassing.
embarrassed.
Yeah,
I'm embarrassed.
Cool.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying, and she's like, oh, don't worry about it. You'll be all right, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? She come over, and then she just said, can we have a kiss? I went, yeah, all right, go on then.
Sorry. Obviously, sorry. I'm one of those like laugh or cry kind of guys, and I generally laugh.
We've kissed, right? But I'm just thinking it's a kiss, but she's turned it into like a kiss, like, you know.
Snog,
As in it was passionate, yeah?
Yeah, it was a kiss. And I was thinking, fucking hell, man. Like, what the hell?
Stonker.
Yeah, exactly that. So obviously,
Stonker.
yeah, I'm just thinking, can't help thinking about it now all the time. I'm 13, like, that's all you think
She's
about.
voluptuous.
That's all you're thinking about.
Yeah. Well, your hormones
Go
are
through
raging,
puberty,
innit?
hormones,
Your
yeah,
hormones are
And
raging.
she'd be
Yeah,
walking
cool.
about just in like hardly fuck all, or just, you know.
Liberty.
So
So she
anyway-
knew what she was doing, maybe.
Absolutely. There's no maybe about it. So anyway, one morning I've
I
got
don't know
up.
what's coming next. Though.
Exactly. I've got up one morning. I'm still 13 years old. She's, like I say, 23.
Yeah.
I've got up one morning, gone downstairs. My old man was fishing then, as I said.
Yeah.
He's out about 3 in the morning. He's out fishing. He's out all fucking day. Don't come back
Yeah.
sometimes till it's dark.
She gets lonely.
So
I see where it's going, I think.
yeah, I've just said to her, I've got up, gone downstairs, and just said, listen, I don't fancy going to school today. Because obviously I was still at school then, 13. Didn't get expelled yet.
Yeah, you ain't gone.
Yeah, exactly. And so she went, all right, go and put yourself in bed. I'll tell your sister, like, this is my younger sister, Claire. I'll tell your sister you're not feeling well. I went, all right, sweet. Because I was only going to bunk off anyway.
Yeah. Go with the story.
Yeah, I might as well try and see if I can stay indoors rather than fucking go and hide up somewhere. And so anyway, I've fallen back asleep, I think, a bit. And then she's walked in a bit later on, and to this day I can picture her exactly. She's wearing one of my
Similar
dad's.
to your first day of heroin kind of day.
Yeah,
Memories.
it was a first
Good
day.
memories.
It was a memorable day.
Yeah, it would be though. Let's be honest.
So we'd have a porn shoot.
Yeah, so she's walked in. She's wearing just one of my dad's shirts. You know, like a suit shirt, like with buttons.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She's wearing one of them, like a purple shirt.
That was the look back in the day, innit? The seductive look, innit?
Nothing else. But I didn't know she was wearing nothing else.
Yeah,
But it looked good.
Yeah.
Do you know what
No,
I
that
mean?
was a thing back then, wasn't it? Like
So she's walked
overgrown
in,
shirt for a while.
and she's gone, how are you feeling now? And then as she said it, I thought, she knows I wasn't, she knows it was only bollocks. I wasn't ill. It was just bollocks just to get out of school sort of thing. I went, yeah, I'm all right. And she went, come on, I'll give you a cuddle. So she's pulled back, I think blankets. I don't even think I had a duvet back then. I don't think they were about. So it's probably blankets. So yeah, she's pulled back my blankets, jumped in. And we've started cuddling, and then obviously I've started getting an erection. And then, she's unbuttoned her shirt, my dad's shirt. And
Done it in your dad's shirt as well.
yeah, and then that's it. And then basically, yeah, we had sex. But it was fucking amazing. First time.
Yeah, of course.
I was saying to Jim earlier, first time I ever shot my bolt was in her mouth.
In your stepmom's mouth.
She weren't my stepmom, they never married, but pretty much
yeah.
all intents and purposes. First time I ever shot my bolt. Before that, I'd masturbate, but I didn't get that far. I'd get to like the funny leg bit.
Oh, okay,
And I
yeah, and
go.
stop. Yeah, and
I
be
couldn't
like,
go
what's
any
going
further. I
on?
just
Yeah, a
thought,
bit
oh,
worried
that's
about it.
weird. And she took me past that, and then that's it. And then I was seeing her for.
Oh, so this weren't like a one-off account?
No,
This went on for a bit of time?
It went on for a year,
Oh, wow.
and then we got caught by my uncle.
How did you get caught?
Well, like I said,
Too
it
loud.
went on for a long time.
Yeah.
And then we started getting overconfident. Like first off, we got caught by someone else, sort of not my sister, but she's one of my cousin's sisters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You had quite a diverse upbringing.
Yeah, she caught us first, but she kept her mouth shut. And
Kept
then,
her mouth quiet.
Yeah.
Knowing though
Yeah.
that you're underage, she's overage.
Yeah. So this girl was like my sister sort of thing, the one who caught us. And she.
But it didn't raise any alarm
Who
bells.
knows back then? It's just weird. I don't know. It was weird. So yeah. Anyway, but we started getting more and more
Comfortable.
exactly.
Yeah.
that. You know, because to start with, we'd lock all the doors and make. You know what I mean? Make sure that it was all right, sort of thing. But yeah, one day we was actually in the lounge on the rug in front of the fire. But we didn't lock the back door. My uncle's just walked, because people back then just used to walk in.
Yeah,
Just
doors
walk in,
were
go, it's
open.
only me,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So yeah, that happened. He's walked in, it's only me, and there I am going hell for leather.
Wow, crazy.
Yeah, and he's grabbed hold of me, pulled. Do you know what I mean? Pulled me off again, threw me up against the wall, threatened to beat me up, and I'm thinking like, what is it? Is this jealousy or what?
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, at that point.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I managed to get him off me and that, and then I fucking just sort of got myself dressed and just fucked. I just thought, fuck this, I'm getting out of here, and I just fucked off. But then they called my dad. They had to like ship to shore him, sort of thing, like or whatever, you know, like radio him on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then basically he took me again, the old patterns. He took me back to sort of social services.
Yeah.
Just said,
Take him.
I can't fucking deal with him. So social services. Luckily, I had a really good social worker called Bill Hill. He was brilliant. He was.
You'll never forget that name, I bet.
No, I won't. Because he done such a lot for me as well. He gave me my first like.
Are you still in contact with him or anything?
No, he's long dead now.
Oh,
Obviously, I was like young then, and he was sort of at my age now.
yeah. I wasn't sure what kind of. He might have been younger himself.
But yeah, give me my first fishing rod and all that sort of stuff. You know,
Nice, good lad.
Yeah.
So someone actually gave you a bit of stability, basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then people do stick out in your
Cool,
life, don't they?
cool.
You know. So yeah, he just said, right, he said, right, we've sort of pretty much we're fucked. Is there anyone who will have you? Like in the family? And the only person I could think of was my nan, and I thought that's sort of my last chance, really. I ain't got no one else. So yeah, luckily my nan said, yeah, she'd have me. So I went and stayed there.
Moving on from that, when did you sort of get involved in crime and that sort of aspect of life?
Crime really was, again, from a young age.
Yeah.
Like petty crime and stuff. You know, like as a 9-year-old, as a skinhead, when I was expelled from school, I'd be out shoplifting and even just silly shit. I'd go to places like, back then you had like W.H. Smith's.
Woolworths.
Yeah, Woolworths.
Yeah.
Do you know
What was
I mean?
Woolworths called prior to that?
Don't
Is
know.
it called
it's only
something?
ever
Oh, is it
called
always?
to
No,
me,
I thought
yeah.
it was called something else.
But yeah, them sort of places, I used to steal stationery and sell them to people I knew from school.
That used
Obviously,
to
I'm
happen
not
when I
at
was at school as well.
I'm
Yeah,
not at school, so I just meet them and sell them stuff. Do you know what I mean? Shit like that. But then because I started getting involved in drugs, I think it just got worse and worse. Like my early stuff, up until I got involved in heroin, was very petty.
Yeah.
You know, it was just, I think I got nicked for joyriding. I did nick cars and take them out and, you know, dump them somewhere in the lane. I wouldn't smash them up or nothing, just dump them and then, you know, that sort of shit.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, to me, that was quite petty, especially back then, really. So, yeah, up until I got heavily involved in, like, the heavy drugs, it was just petty crime. And then once I was involved in heavy drugs, it became a lot more serious. Like, I was like, I used to burgle houses and, well, I'd burgle anything that I could really sell, I'd have pretty much.
And to buy your fix.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Just fund that
because
whole
I'm
the whole
desperate.
habit.
I'm desperate for money. I need money. I don't want money. I need it.
Yeah, because
You know
you
what I
need in your head at that time.
exactly.
You need it. Yeah.
So yeah, that became that. And then
Where did that end up then?
Yeah, well, what was the worst sort of thing?
Where did that end up? So you spiraled out of control. You're on the heavy stuff now. Where did we get to?
And then, and then I got introduced to armed robberies. Basically, someone just said to me one day, "Do you fancy doing this with me?" And I was only quite young. I was probably about 17, the first one I did, 17, 18, something like that. And I just went, yeah, all right, go on in, I'll have a go at that.
Yeah.
So we've gone. It's ridiculous. I've tried. Like we've gone out to Surrey, you know, like there's all like posher areas.
Yeah. Surrey's known to be one.
Yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. And the first one I tried was like I think it was like a Portman Building Society. I've gone in there, I've got the gun, balaclava, only a fake gun. So yeah, I pulled the balaclava in, gone in there, fucking said, right, you know, give me the money and all that. And they just pressed the buzzer, like alarms going off, I had to run off, think, fucking hell, like, so I didn't get
Shut
nothing.
yourself straight away. Sort of.
Yeah, so I didn't get nothing. We've driven to another one, I've tried another one, because we'd just go and find one and say, right, that one will do.
Yeah.
Watch it for a little while, make sure there's like a little escape route so you can hide the car somewhere out of sight. Tried another one, same thing pretty much. Didn't happen, so in the end he's gone, right, I'll fucking do one. And he was into speed. And so he's had a little hit of speed. Gone and done one, come out. He's like, weren't loads of money, it was like a couple of grand. But back then, a couple of grand's a lot of money for someone like me, do you know what I mean? So I was thinking, fucking hell then, how did he? The only thing I could see what was the difference was the speed. So next time, I said, yeah, I'll go on then, I'll have a go on that.
Yeah.
Banged up. I don't even like it. I don't like that kind of drug. It's like dirty and sweaty, and I just don't like it.
Yeah.
But I've done it, and obviously it makes your eyes bulge and you're sweaty, and you look more menacing, I think, even because they can only see your eyes. But you look more menacing and look more intense and all that. So I've gone and tried it. Boom, got money. So after that, I tried that every time for a little while, and I was getting the money.
Okay.
And
so on top of obviously the heroin, you're now dealing with some speed as well to obviously.
yeah, not that was only taken for work. It wasn't.
This one, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, it wasn't a pleasure thing in any way.
That was
shape, or
purely
form.
circumstantial. Need to do it for work.
Yeah. And after a while, once I got confident in doing that, I didn't need that anymore.
Okay.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So that I didn't need that, so I didn't bother doing that. And that's what happened. I ended up starting getting into them.
When did it come and bite you in the arse? And when did you get caught?
I got
If
caught.
you got caught.
I've been
did
caught,
get caught,
I've been
yeah.
caught a couple of times. For a couple. First one I got caught for was, it's just a ridiculous one, really. I only got a little bit of money out of it, and I used, believe it or not, a curtain. You know, like not a curtain pole. You know, like a wardrobe pole.
Yeah.
One of them. I took that out of my wardrobe, sawed it in half, taped them together, stuck them in a bag, and just so it looks like a
Shotgun.
Yeah, and just gone in and done one with one of them. Got away with it, like sort of, and then some taxi drivers sort of. I don't even know how it happened really, because I've got changed, everything like that. I'm just like, I look completely different. Got a taxi to go and score some gear.
Yeah.
The taxi driver somehow has heard something on the radio. Thought, yeah, that's this fella, innit? Called the old Bill. I've come out of this block of flats where I'm buying heroin in Hastings. Got down to the bottom, I could see the police everywhere. They got my friend who was with me. They got him up on the, like
on a bonnet or something.
on a bonnet
like
searching him.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, oh fuck this. So I managed to slip out the back without them seeing. And I've gone and stayed with some friends in Eastbourne, some Scouse friends of mine. And then one day I was there one morning, and all of a sudden, boom, they fucking pepper sprayed the dog, and I've got all red dots on me. I'm on the settee, and
oh wow,
yeah, it was like
It's
that.
firearm, innit?
Yeah.
Come
They
at
see
you,
you as
come
like
at you
a
hard.
flight risk, innit?
Well, just as dangerous, I suppose. I don't know because of the nature of the crime.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that was that, and I got nicked for that one. Got 6 years for that. Didn't get any parole or anything because back then I didn't care. Prison, I didn't mind prison, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Really, sometimes it's a safe space. Somewhere to get yourself fit and healthy again, ready for the next, ready
The
for the
next
next
boost.
one.
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you get
yeah,
out.
yeah.
Do you think prison actually done quite well in rehabilitating you? And
No,
no,
prison
Not at
didn't do
all.
anything at all. You have to do it for yourself.
what I mean is getting off drugs, or no, not at all.
Having the
Opportunities.
opportunity,
Yeah.
Them for them
That's
giving me the
what- yeah.
opportunities, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the prison doesn't do anything itself. No, if anything, it sort of does the opposite.
Makes worse.
Really,
You meet
it's
people
hard.
and connections
Yeah,
and
'cause
whatever.
It is hard to turn it around, and you do have to do it yourself. There's loads of people who help you, but you have to.
You
seek
have
them
to do
out.
it yourself, didn't you? Yeah.
and you have to find them people, but they're there.
Did you ever get to the point where you felt like you were institutionalized?
I think I still am a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a man of massive routine. Still to this day, I am, and do you know what I mean? Everything I do has to be like a routine. Like I don't know, really. I don't know how to explain it, but I'm quite OCD in my routines.
Yeah.
Like if I have to do something, if I have to deviate, sometimes it upsets me a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I'll do it, and I'll take it on. And after a few days, I can work it in to the routine until it becomes routine. But yeah, I find it quite weird.
So, in terms of now, we're looking at you've gone to prison, etc. Were drugs still a heavy part of any of that? Were you still able
early
to
on,
access it?
in my earlier
Yeah.
sentences, massively, I'd go to
In
jail.
prison.
Yeah, in prison. I'd go to prison and be probably worse than I was on the street. I mean, I've been to prison. I went to Ford, like the open prison down near us. And after, I think I was there 6 weeks, and then they thrown me out. I mean, who gets thrown out of prison?
Yeah.
They threw me out, just said, no, we don't want you. You'll have to go back.
Why? Because of the drug taking.
I didn't get any nickings. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I didn't get in any trouble. As far as I know, I wasn't excessively using drugs then. I was selling drugs.
Selling it in there.
Okay.
Was
Like-
it easy to get it in there? Because you hear about people
In that jail,
Oh, really?
obviously, it's Ford. It's an open prison, so
Right,
people
okay.
just leave it outside, and then you just
Go grab
go
it.
and get it later
Yeah,
on,
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
thing. But in there, my friend come and see me, and he bought me loads of ecstasy. He bought me about 50 ecstasy. He knows I don't even like that. Like I say, I don't like upwardly mobile
You like
drugs. I
downers instead of uppers.
Yeah,
put it that
exactly.
way, yeah.
So yeah, he's brought them in for me, and then I was going, what am I meant to do with them? He went, I don't know, just sell them. You know what I mean? So I ended up selling them, and I was selling them for £10 each. That's quite a bit of money,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
free in jail.
Big money.
Back then. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Even now, £10 a pill like that.
Yeah.
Imagine selling.
Yeah,
10 of
exactly.
them. You're happy. You're laughing.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm talking 500 quid at least there. Do you know what
Yeah.
I mean? So yeah, I just started doing that, but like I say, I was only there 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He's come and see me a couple of weeks later and
Yeah.
bought me some more, and I've given him a bit of dough and
Yeah.
all this and that. It's like it's working out well. And then yeah, one morning I'm in my shower, and I was waiting to try and I'd applied for like a town visit. It's called, I suppose, but it was like a day release.
Right,
I was
yeah.
applying for it, and I was waiting to hear back. They'd back in them days, they'd faxed my mate, and he had to fax them back and all that sort of stuff. Like now, it'd be emails, but back then it
Yeah,
was
facts.
faxes.
Yeah, cool. They're still about. It's still
Yeah.
good.
And so all that was going through. But yeah, one morning I'm in the shower, and then these two screws would come in, just said, right, you got to come with us sort of thing. And I went, where? And they went, you'll find out. So I've got out, got dressed, and they took me to this part of the camp where I just sort of thought, I don't even know where this bit is. Like, I've never been here before. And there was like a little cottage in the middle of the camp with like a little hedge around it. And they've opened that, put me in there, and it was a block, like a chokey segregation unit. And I said, what's going on then? I ain't had no nickings, I ain't nothing, do you know what I mean? And they just said, you'll find out. And then, the governor's turned up, just said, I don't want you here. I've been watching you and you're far too busy, basically.
Yeah.
So that was it.
So,
but say things like that, like I've been to loads and loads of prisons, and I've been in a lot of long-term prisons, like on the Isle of Wight. I've been to Parkhurst and places like that. And 9 times out of 10, I probably shouldn't say this, but 9 times out of 10 it's the officers bringing stuff in.
Yeah.
They might be coerced or paid very well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or threatened, or
that's what I'm saying. Coerced.
You feel endangered, etc. So
that's what I mean.
You never know the circumstances.
But 9 times out of 10, it is brought in via that route.
Yeah.
Because you got to understand, these people are just normal people.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're going to get offered about 10 times the amount of money for their week's wage, just for bringing something in.
I know someone who was a prison officer relatively recently. You're not allowed to smoke in prisons now at all, not tobacco or nothing like that. He could sell a half ounce of tobacco, £200.
Wow.
Just to get the
half ounce of tobacco for £200.
I know someone who went in there and he bought a queue of cannabis. He paid £500 for it.
Yes, it's ridiculous in there. It is. It's nuts.
I know some people that even
Heroin's
go
the
to
cheapest drug in
prison to make money. They get
Heroin
themselves
is
nicked on petty crimes to make more money in there.
So, you're obviously 16 years in now of, congrats and, that stuff is inspiring. What actually gave you the opportunity, the engine to go and change your life radically and improve and get yourself back into a healthy place?
First off, exactly what happened is I got a letter from my niece. And I can't remember the exact circumstances, but she sent me a letter, and it was along the lines of, unless you sort yourself out, you're just going to end up as a really fucking lonely old man in a prison cell rotting. And if you knew my niece, like, she's just such a, she's like a really, 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 really nice, humble, normal girl. And I think that it hit home because it had come from such a person I wouldn't expect anything like that from, I think. Do you know what I mean? And it really, that sort of was a kick in the gut for me. I'm not saying that was it.
But it was something that got the
but it was
wake-up
something,
call.
It played on my mind for a long, I was still used for quite a few years after that. I was still used for probably 4 years after that, maybe 5 years after that. But it was always there. That and for me, that's the thing that kicked off the thought process, really, in my head.
Planted a little seed, so to speak.
Yeah, and then after that, I ended up going to Parkhurst, and then I was there. I knew, like in there, because as a lifer, I was given sentence plans and all this sort. So there's certain boxes I have to tick, like clean drug tests, stuff like that. But you can manipulate them.
Yeah,
there's always ways around it. So I used to do voluntary drug tests, which keep you away from the mandatory ones.
Right. Yeah.
Really, and the voluntary ones you can do them whenever you want. So as long as you do so many a month, it was good.
Right.
So
Play the system, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's always ways around shit. And I used to do that, and then I don't know what happened. I just suddenly one day I just thought I really need to stop this. I just need to stop.
Why did you feel like it was doing like a physical damage? Could you see it? No,
I don't know.
Nothing like internally that made you think, "Oh, this feels no."
Nothing. I think it might have just been a dry time in the jail. Might have been like a month or two where there wasn't any, and then when it turned up again, I probably had a bit, and then just thought, I ain't feeling it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know, like that.
You'd lost the sensation of that feeling. And then
just that time. I didn't need that cuddle, or I didn't need that. The fucking headphones that I was talking about earlier. Like, I was quite noiseless.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Really, for want of a better phrase, I don't know how to say it, but yeah, I just thought, yeah, I don't really need it. But I got chatting to this fella, another like, well, I think it was pretty much all lifers over there. But yeah, another lad. I was chatting to him, and he'd done a course called the RAPT, which is the Rehabilitation for Addicted Prisoners Trust. And they do all these other sort of like little courses, and they're like silly courses, you know, like you can do in a day or a week, something like that. Whereas the RAPT course it's the first 5 steps of the 12-step program. It's intense. It's a 3-month course, and you really, really, you have to commit. You know, you have to be serious about it. Well, that's what I believe. You have to be serious. I know there's people on the course I did who weren't serious and all that, but that's down to them. But for me, it had to be something that I had to take wholeheartedly. And like I said earlier, I'm sort of a man of extremes. When I do things,
like you said, part of your personality is an addictive personality, and this time it was actually an addiction into something positive.
Exactly, yeah. So I straight away I just thought, right, okay. I went in front of the parole board, not for actual release. This was just to get my category lowered.
Yeah.
And they said, yep, okay, you can have a CCAT. So I found out which prisons, because you've got a prison directory in there, you can just get hold of it and look in all of them.
The yellow pages of the
and it tells you what
prisons,
courses they do and all. I don't know whether they have it in every jail, but certainly in life at jails, because you need to know that information.
Okay.
And you, as a lifer, you have to serve your own sentence. They don't do it for you. So if you get, like for me, I get a CCAT, they won't just move me. I have to find a prison, write to the prison. I wrote to 6 prisons asking to come there. Do you know, and all the ones that did the RAPT program.
Yeah.
I was hoping to get to the Mount because I had a budgie, and I didn't want to leave I didn't want to leave Daisy behind, but I had to in the end.
Daisy,
unfortunately, I had to give her to my mate. But so I wrote to multiple prisons, like I say, asking if they do the RAPT program, could I come and do it? You know, and when can I come, sort of thing. And I just thought to myself, right, the first one that gets back to me, I'm going. Because, like I said, my tariff was only 4 years. And the thing is with life of tariffs, to get on any courses, like, for me, I had to do victim awareness course. I couldn't get on that until I was 6 years in.
Yeah.
So how a low tariff is irrelevant. It doesn't matter because you've still got to wait to achieve these things. I knew people who have been given. I know a fellow who'd been given a 6-year tariff and served 13 years. Normally, they always say whatever tariff you get, double it. So I knew I was serving a minimum of 8 anyway. Yeah, really. That's what I had in my head. I got to serve a minimum of 8, probably 10 years. So yeah. Anyway, I wrote it, and then Bullingdon came back to me first, just said, yep, you can come, blah, 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 this and that. So then I applied to my jail. He said, yeah, I want to go to Bullingdon. Yeah. And that's what happened. I got accepted, went to Bullingdon. It was a little bit nuts when I first got there because they didn't put me straight onto the RAPT wing or a drug-free wing. They put me on a normal population sort of wing, and it was really weird because it was like starting again. It was like being in Lewis all over again. You've got people running about searching for gear and fights and all this and that. I've been in
You're trying to get away from that.
I've been in the life of prison, you know what I mean, where you cook your own food, you're there with each other for donkey's years, so everyone's polite. Do you know what I mean? It's weird. I went from a community to a
hellhole.
Yeah, it was really, really bad. And I think I lasted about 7 days, and then luckily this screw come to me and just said, look, I've got this fellow over on another wing. He needs help, sort of thing. And I want someone who's grown up. Basically, he didn't want one of these mad kids. Yeah. He said, I want an adult to go and help him, sort of thing.
Mentor him, sort of thing.
Yeah, pretty much. And I went, well, what's the problem? And they said, well, yeah, he was released 7 days ago, early, like on some early release scheme, but fucked up, got on the piss, had an argument with his missus and whatever else, and come back, and he's a bit suicidal. So I went, all right, but they said, oh, like, we'll give you a big double, because like they have 2 different types of cells there. They have like a small double, which is bunk beds, or a big double, which is single beds. So I went, all right, yep, sweet, gone over there, got chatting to it. He was all right, the lad. I think he was just a bit fucking pissed off with himself.
Bit down.
Yeah, but we sorted that out. We went and saw the SO, because they had him on, like every 15 minutes, they had him on suicide watch, so they'd come and switch the light on and off. At that one night, I said, listen, that's got to stop. I ain't having that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I said, he ain't going to do anything all the time I'm in there. You don't need to do that every 15 minutes. Do it every couple of hours. At least give me time to fall asleep.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what
So
I
that
mean?
I'm in a deep sleep.
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
Like KO, it probably won't even affect me.
Yeah, so in the end, anyway, they stopped it. He went to see the healthcare and they stopped it. So after that, they moved another lad in with me, some Chinese lad who was also struggling, and I helped him out. And then they come and see me and just said, right, okay, there's a space now on the wrapped thing. So I went and did that. And as a lifer there on that wing, I was entitled to a single cell. So yeah, I did the wrapped course, which it was nuts, to be honest. It was really nuts. It was really hard to get on board with straight away because of all the God stuff. Because of the 12 steps, it's not religious. It's not religious, but because God gets a mention in it, I really found that a bit of a struggle for me. And then I was talking to one of the peer supporters, and he said, listen, don't worry about all that. He said, God doesn't mean God. It just means like a higher power. He said, you sat there on your own, you're on your own. He said, me and you talking now, we're a higher power than you on your own.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He said, you know, anything other than yourself that adds to yourself is a higher power. He said, for me, God is G-O-D, a group of druggies. That's how I work it. And I just got on board with that. I just thought, yeah, I can live with that. I can work with that now, because I was struggling before that.
Yeah.
And I thought, am I joining a cult? Because at the end, when they do the Serenity Prayer and all that sort of stuff, and I was just thinking, I don't know
Too
about
much sort of thing.
I don't know about it all. But eventually you get on board with it, really. And even when I started, they said, well, you know, you sort of, I was drug-free then. Anyway, it had been probably 18 months, 2 years by the time I started it. And I said, it's not, for me, it weren't about the drugs anymore. It was about that. Because even though I hadn't taken drugs for 2 years, every morning I woke up, it's still in there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I just said, I just want to wake up in the morning and not to be my first thought. I don't want to keep having that.
To conclude, Tony, innit? Obviously, you've come such a far way from the beginning of the podcast. You was talking about abuse, sexual assault, drug abuse, and now you're now completely sober for how many long years?
16 years.
16 years. Wow, that's
I'm
amazing.
not,
and you're open and you're to talk about it. It's amazing.
I'm happy to talk about
very,
it.
very inspirational. Very inspirational,
Yeah.
I must add.
I must say, I've been inspired sitting here just hearing that. And I hope, you know, people that get a chance to listen, watch, whatever medium that is on. But I just hope people, you know, are inspired and can see that if they're in a similar position, you know, or circumstance, or, you know, upbringing or starting life, that there is a way out.
There is it, but you have to do it for yourself.
Yeah,
that's
has to
only
come
thing.
from
You can't
within,
expect-
for sure.
you can't
No,
expect
there's
no
no
one to
doubt
do it
about
for
that.
you have to do it yourself.
No one's going to meet you halfway.
No,
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, to be
No,
fair,
I'm saying that
will
people,
meet you
yeah,
halfway, but
saying
you
that,
have to,
yeah. You have to get there
have
to
take
start
the
with.
step,
Yeah, you've got to
you
take
know.
those 50 steps to get there.
And it's not easy, and people... See, I was quite lucky. I think, again, like I say, because of my personality, once I committed to it, I was committed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's it. And I haven't had a relapse. I haven't done any of them things that people do. You know,
So your addictive trait actually was
worked in my
your
favour.
fall and your rise.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
That's
I
wicked,
think
man.
so, yeah.
Well, it's been wicked speaking to you on my behalf.
Honestly,
Okay.
it's been
Well,
amazing. Very
It's been a pleasure to meet you,
Honestly.
the pair of you.
Amazing.
Thank you very much.
Before you go, is there anything you'd like to say to the viewers at home? One last thing.
I don't know, really. You put me on the spot now. I don't know. No, I don't know what to say. No.
All right, no worries. I'll do it for you.
Stay in school, kids.
Stay in school.
Yeah,
Stay in
and
school.
stay off the glue and drugs.
Stay off the glue and drugs. And please like or subscribe if you like this content. And thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one. See you later.
Nice one.